I'd rather regret the things I've done than regret things I haven't done. Lucille Ball. Welcome to another episode of the All Around Growth Podcast, everybody. Today, we are going to talk about quality versus quantity, analysis paralysis, unrestricted creativity, and free throws. So let's get right into it, shall we? This is episode number 205 of a show that provides insight and tools to building the life and homestead of your dreams. My name is Rob Kaiser and I am your host. Today is Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. And I sat down to journal this morning. I read this quote and decided that's it. We're gonna get back into it. We're gonna, I enjoy this on the daily. Yeah. Would I like to do something different? Would I like to do something, quote, better? Of course, we all would. But as I revisited some of the messages in the chat thread at t.me/allaroundgrowth, I listened to something that Chad had said. He left us a little video or audio message, rather, after a couple quotes. Something I shared that was a quote by Ryan Holiday, a screenshot of a tweet. It said, "The problem with quality over quantity is that it doesn't get you the reps you need to produce real quality." And I said, discuss. Chad left a voice message, and I can't articulate it all, and I don't have the technology available. I do have the technology available to me. And I actually thought about recording that and inserting it in a podcast here. I haven't made the time to do it. I'm not going to. But I listened to it again this morning and took a couple notes. He said that perfection is the enemy of the good, and that oftentimes we are so consumed with quality that we get stale or we get stuck. And I thought, damn, that sure sounds a lot like what a lot of us know as analysis paralysis. And he referred to this as writer's block. And I thought, all right, let's do this. Let's let it flow. And as he was speaking, he discussed this idea of unrestricted creativity, which is just kind of awesome. And then mentioned something about shortages and quality issues. And I'm not going to really go there because that's not, I really can't recall the context of what we were talking about with regard to that, but we can definitely talk about free throws and the references that were made to producing a consistent body of work in the same amount of time. For example, 4 articles in 4 days that he talked about. And I can kind of speak to this because I've been gathering show topics, and I sat down to do the work and prepare for a show like I did this Sunday. I wasn't really satisfied with it. What I am satisfied with is a consistent 200 plus number of podcasts in a year. And that makes me feel like I've been doing the free throws. You just got to do it. Put in the reps. Put in the time. And there's a number of people, and I'm sure you've heard the stories, who talk about professional basketball players just drilling it out. Free throw after 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 free throw. You get it. That's why they're pros. That's what they do. And even when they're pros, they never stop. Drilling it out, 6 a.m., early morning, late, all the time. I've also been, with that, as I was thinking this morning, and sort of along this line of unrestricted creativity, I've been somewhat conflicted with this, right? And I've taught anybody who's listened to this consistently knows that I speak of my internal conflict about the show. And that's why I waffle from a daily release of a recording or a weekly recording. And I've done this several times, and I've talked about shutting this down. And anybody who listens to this with any certainty or any consistency. I'm thinking about the microphone here, and as I get up to the railroad tracks, I'm going to make a quick adjustment. But oftentimes it comes across as me being an indecisive little bitch. And I wanted to make sure I got out this little self-deprecating jab as a bit of humor before I make this little mic adjustment here. All right. So what do I have to say about unrestricted creativity? Oftentimes I think I'm not much of an artist or a, quote, creative, as one of my exes used to put it. They were somehow on this other level because they were creatives. But, all right, so I've got this all-around growth podcast project. This is like 2.0 of this podcast because it originally started as a project in 2019. What else have I done? I mean, I was a writer and produced articles for this thing called Brink of Freedom. I was a writer and had my own blog called The Nameless Wayfarer, which I sort of initially started writing anonymously because I felt like it gave me some sort of freedom to write about things that I was not quite comfortable sharing with people who knew me. And I did that, and eventually I don't know, I wrote things that I wanted to share, and I wanted people to know me. So there's this, and then I stopped, right around 2014, right around the time I moved back here. I was heavy into it, and basically that project almost served as a similar purpose to what I intended this to serve as, and I shifted gears because that's all right. I'm going in a million different directions here. When I started this podcast initially, and when I made this video on YouTube about a year ago, I invited you to join me on this journey of living the life of my dreams, I guess. And then that morphed into this life and homestead of your dreams. But a lot of the life of my dreams has been, or a lot of this, join me as I build the life of my dreams, a lot of this has been focused on finding my why. And the more content and the more things that I read and watch and listen to, the people who I'm inspired by have all found their why and can speak it with clarity. If you ask them, they can give you a 30-second synopsis, elevator speech of their why with specificity. And I can't do that yet. So I'm realizing that before I really can tackle a lot of the other projects and dive into this unrestricted creativity that I've been dipping my toes in over the years with all of these little projects like The Nameless Wayfarer and Brink of Freedom and, you know, well, I don't know, there's been a number of other things that I can't, the Deliberate Living Systems, that, and the blog and the mailing list and that podcast and this podcast and some other attempts that never really took off because of this analysis paralysis. But oftentimes I start something, I stop something, realize I'm putting too much energy into something, pick it up later, never pick it up again. And the one thing recently that I've devoted a lot of energy to, and I've spoken about this in the past, is my autobiography. And I'm about 12,000 words into that right now, and I'm realizing that I can make faster progress on this if I want to. And I've realized that this is probably the best way for me to get to that why. And the reason is the autobiography is just the first part of the self-authoring suite, the way that I've structured it. And when I was doing this deep dive into finding my why over the past couple of years, I realized that this is where I'm at. And over the past year, I've made some progress on that. And yes, I could have made more progress, but I'm realizing that looking back, over the past year and a half, things have changed. I've learned a lot, and I've realized that quality and quantity aren't mutually exclusive. They don't have to be. And we talked about this in the group, and this is why this group has been kind of awesome. t.me/allaroundgrowth. It's a Telegram chat group with myself and people in the audience, and helping generate fodder for conversation just like this. So quantity and quality are not mutually exclusive. And I kind of agree that quantity builds quality oftentimes. And I've recognized a lot of my own analysis paralysis. And I think that talking about, thinking about it, and having a body of work to reflect upon, whether written, podcast form, or whatever the case may be, is good to help you realize that. If unrestricted creativity is something that is of interest to you. And really the only way to build upon that unrestricted creativity, I suppose, is with the repetition, much like free throws. So guys, that's it. I'm going to likely cut this short instead of getting where we normally park. For those of you who are in the group, I shared a video yesterday. There's a big construction project going on here at the farm. Lots of excavation, lots of big trucks moving around, and I'm running a little late this morning after a conversation with Cody out in the barn. So anyways, if you like what you hear, check out the show notes. There are ways to links and ways to share the podcast there, and also ways to connect with all of us in the Telegram chat group. So it looks like actually all the equipment's out, but no one's home. No one's really operating yet. So yeah, guys, there will be some links in the show notes to all episodes in the past, links to share on social media, and links to the group chat. And I would encourage you to participate in it with us if you like what you hear. Lots of wisdom in the group being shared, lots of good stuff, and I'm very grateful for it. And even though real quick, I talked about all these different projects, and one of the things that I thought about, see if I can wrap this up before this other person gets here, but I've got some other projects in the works, on the back burner, things that I may have hinted or alluded to in the past, but I think that one of the ways that I can make progress on those is by continuing to make the progress on this current self-authoring program. So I'm going to drop a link to that in the show notes as well, because this is really helping me understand my why, and I don't know, there's a lot in the works, but I want to keep sharing it with you. So people are here, guys. It's weird because I'm going to pretend like I'm on the phone. Anyways, have a great day. This is Rob Kaiser, and thank you.